Translator, 9 to editor, Fish Creek, eat strong. Within the valley at Doom's Suppression Palace, Chin-Mu produced the vitality reinforcement pills he had refined. He shook those fist-sized pills before the devil ape and said, "Strong, buff." The devil ape scratched its head, took a vitality reinforcement pill into its palm, and swallowed it down. Yet there was no reaction at all, so it looked puzzled and said, "Strong?" All of a sudden, that devil went mad, and the hair across its entire body began to grow at a frantic speed. A tree sprout even burst forth atop its head, and in the blink of an eye became a massive tree fork, which ought to have come from a seed that had fallen into the devil ape's hair, only to be roused and stimulated by the vitality reinforcement pill. Its body, too, swelled with reckless abandon as its muscles continued to bulge. Even its bones thickened. And the devil ape howled as it was forcibly expanded. It began smashing everything in sight. Chin-Mu rushed forward to stop it, only to be smashed into the ground. The devil ape's second punch slammed the earth. The rebound jolted Chin-Mu up from the dirt, and then he was met with yet another punch. Amid the devil ape's furious roars, Chin-Mu charged back in again, and the two of them traded blows, shattering the surrounding rocks into fragments. After consuming the vitality reinforcement pill, Chin-Mu had refined. The devil ape's physique had grown larger and stronger. Its strength also surged by a tremendous margin, so much so that Chin-Mu was overwhelmed and had no contest at all. Chin-Mu was forced to shift his vital chi into the fire attribute. As that boiling vital chi circulated through his whole body, a colossal dragon marking appeared across his back. The dragon's 4 limbs linked to Chin-Mu's own 4 limbs, and its claws rested directly upon his palms, aligning with his fingers. 5 Claws Flame Dragon! Fire attribute vital chi was categorized as Vermilion Bird Vital Chi. However, Chin-Mu did not possess a Vermilion Bird spirit embryo, but rather a human-shaped spirit embryo. The dragon marking on his back was not formed by his vital chi at all, but was instead the effect of the Thunderclap 8 Strikes Old Ma had transmitted to him. The vital chi circulation of Old Ma's Thunderclap 8 Strikes was profoundly mysterious, and its root traced out a dragon, marking that spread throughout the entire body. If Thunderclap 8 Strikes were executed by Old Ma with the green dragon spirit body, then the wood and lightning attributed vital chi would tint the dragon marking upon his back a verdant green, with lightning threads interweaving through it. But since Chin-Mu had not yet trained out his green dragon vital chi, he could only employ Vermilion Bird vital chi. Thus the dragon marking on his back was wreathed in clouds of fire. Only when he executed Thunderclap 8 Strikes would those fire clouds manifest upon his body. The moment he ceased executing it, this peculiar marking would gradually fade away and vanish. As Chin-Mu's vital chi circulated, his strength rose by a great amount, and only then was he finally able to contest the devil ape. Yet the devil ape had already gone insane. Every strike it threw was without logic, and even if it meant it would be hurt, it still insisted on battering Chin-Mu. Only when both were bruised all over, gasping for breath, and lying motionless upon the ground did the fighting finally stop. The enormous tree fork on the devil ape's head had already grown as thick as a water barrel, and red fruits had sprouted upon it. The tree no longer grew further after the medicinal energy of the vitality reinforcement pill was depleted. There truly was a problem with the vitality reinforcement pill. Chin-Mu had refined. The medicinal energy was too fierce and harsh, rather than mild and gentle. The devil ape survived the shock of that medicinal force only because of the sturdiness of its body. As for other spirit embryo realm practitioners, they would likely have died by their bodies exploding. Now that the medicinal energy was depleted, the devil ape's body gradually shrank, yet it remained taller and stronger than before. This made Chin-Mu feel that the vitality reinforcement pill he refined had some issues. However, judging from the devil ape's performance, the problem should not be too severe. Even if there was a problem, it was a positive one. He plucked a fruit from the fruit tree atop the devil ape's head, peeled its skin, and ate it. The fruit was sweet and refreshing, carrying a faint medicinal fragrance. The devil ape sat up and tore down the great tree from its head. The tree's roots had spread across its face, and after plucking it off, it grabbed a bunch of leaves and fruits and began eating them slowly. Chin Mu handed over the remaining vitality reinforcement pills and warned it, "You may only eat one pill at a time, and never more. Also, if you want to fight, go find other strange beasts to fight. Don't destroy Doom Suppression Palace." The devil ape's eyes sparkled, and it immediately tucked away the vitality reinforcement pills while nodding its head. The vitality reinforcement pills Chin Mu refined were far too large. The pills Apothecary made were only thumb-sized, whereas Chin Mu's were fist-sized, all due to his inexperience. Thus, there were only a little over 20 pills in this batch. Chin Mu left, feeling reassured. The devil ape waited until he had gone, then immediately grabbed an unbelievably huge vitality reinforcement pill and rushed, brimming with excitement, toward the nearest strange beast territory to seek revenge. The strange beast next door was its enemy. In the past, it frequently invaded the ape's territory and snatched wild beasts to fill its stomach. Only recently had it stopped invading because it had been beaten by the ape several times and had seen Chin Mu's handprint branded upon the cliff. Realizing there was one more owner here, the devil ape charged into its enemy's territory, swallowed the pill down, and then bellowed as it rushed toward its foe. 2 days later, it was finally the day of the temple fair. Granny C brought rolls of cloth, while Old Ma brought the new pieces of furniture he had made. Apothecary carried his medicine basket, and Butcher loaded a strange beast Cripple had captured yesterday onto the cart. Butcher was to butcher meat for sale, while Cripple handled cashiering. Their work clearly divided. Mute also brought his furnace and smithing tools, while Del Def brought his brush, ink, and paper. They called Chin Mu over. Everyone climbed onto the cow cart and headed toward Grandma Temple. The cow cart was packed to the brim, wobbling as it rumbled toward Grandma Temple. Chin Mu drove with a sour mood. When he was young, going to the temple fair had been enticing, but now that he had more knowledge and experience, the fair was no longer as interesting as before. Yet upon reaching Grandma Temple, Chin Mu was shocked. The temple fair was far more bustling than he had imagined. Among the ruins around Grandma Temple was a bazaar stretching 3 miles long, with stalls everywhere. It teemed with activity, people moving back and forth in a constant flow. These people were not merely from the few villages within 3 miles, but from every village within a 100-mile radius. More than half the villagers from all those places had gathered here. On the map in Doom's Suppression Palace, this place was called Sirius Palace, not Grandma Temple. Chin Mu was at a loss as to why this place would be called Grandma Temple. As the cow cart rolled into the bazaar, Chin Mu saw all manner of rare and strange items laid out on the small stalls. There were even people kneading candies, cooking, and performing sideshows like fire spitting. Others sold strange beasts, ores, jewelry, their daughters, and the like. My daughter and I are from Cow Family Village and stopped by here. We don't covet titles or money. It's just that my daughter has reached a marriageable age and has no one in mind yet, so I would like to find a son-in-law through a martial arts competition and hope to find a good man with an outstanding martial skill. Chin Mu saw that things were lively up ahead and stopped the cow cart to take a look. It turned out people were holding martial arts competitions to seek future grooms. Men and women fought fiercely in the arena. Chin Mu watched a few moments, lost interest, and continued onward, only to discover there were quite a few such arenas within Grandma Temple. These arenas were built atop mud platforms, and within them were youths from the various villages, each one a practitioner. Of course, there were also old, gray-haired men who leapt into the arena to participate, only to be thrown off as the crowd below hissed at them. Some villages have fewer males, so these martial arts competitions are for them to find a son-in-law to live with them. Granny C warned Chin Mu, becoming their son-in-law means you must live with them, so you cannot go up. Chin Mu nodded, though his hands itched for a fight. Blind laughed and said, "It's fine, even if Chin Mu goes up. So long as he defeats everyone in the arenas here and marries a few dozen maidens." Granny shot him a glare, and Blind clamped his mouth shut, not daring to continue. Disabled Elderly Village had a fixed location for their stalls at Grandma Temple. Before long, the cow cart arrived before those stalls. Chin Mu helped Butcher set up his butchery, then helped Old Mom move down his furniture. After he finished moving those, He helped Mute set up his iron furnace and helped Granny Sai arrange her tailoring work table. Then helped Blind prepare his ink and hang up his rhyming couplets. After all preparations were complete, Chinmu saw Blind seated before a table, a banner hanging from his bamboo cane. On the banner were the words, 6 broken and solid lines of the 8 divinatory trigrams. Avoid calamities with fortune-telling. Chinmu thought to himself, Grandpa Blind also knows how to tell fortunes? Apothecary also set up his medicine stall at the side, while Butcher had already split open the belly of the strange beast and begun hanging its meat up, with villagers shouting for business. They were no different from ordinary people. Muir, there's an empty arena at the side. Hang these few words up. With a few swift strokes, Death had written a few words for Chinmu and instructed him, after you hang it there, don't come down anymore, just stand on the arena. This is your business today. If you are still standing in the arena after the sun sets, we'll consider that you have passed the test. Chinmu looked at the set of words, which read, the unrivaled one that splits the river, sweeping away all 800 villages in great ruins. There was also a horizontal scroll that read, Number 1 in Spirit Embryo Realm. Chinmu looked toward the arena. There stood 2 wooden pillars, gleaming brightly. Between them was an empty horizontal tablet, clearly the place where he should paste the horizontal scroll. Grandpa Deaf, would I be beaten to death? Chinmu turned and asked Deaf. At that moment, he saw Deaf take out another banner that read, Bet to make a fortune. Once bet there's no change. Blind was apparently trying to make a fortune through Chinmu's battles. Meanwhile, Granny Sai had already placed a bet at Blind's betting stall. Apothecary excitedly laid out his medicines, waiting for injured practitioners to come down from the arena. Old Ma was making crutches and stretchers, while Butcher sold Flood Dragon's Precious Blood, a divine medicine for strengthening the body. Chinmu's face instantly turned black. These crooked old men and women were far too adept at doing business. Deaf, write another notice. Only Spirit Embryo Realm practitioners are allowed to go up. Granny C thought it over. What happens if a divine arts practitioner jumped up and just beat Muir to death? Translator, Ninetails. Editor, Fish Creek. Muir, this temple fair is a fine place to behold the breadth of the world. Old Ma finished crafting a pair of crutches, set them before the furnishings, and spoke to Chinmu. In the great ruins, there are many villages, and among their folk are experts who can no longer mingle in the world beyond. Forced into the great ruins, they remained, and they too have taken disciples of their own. Only when the temple fair comes do these people and their disciples gather here. Only at the temple fair can you lay eyes upon the myriad techniques and skills beneath heaven. Chinmu did not truly comprehend. He pondered a moment and said, I lack experience in real combat. Thus, it is difficult for me to turn my cultivation into true prowess. Is that why Grandpa Ma wants me to seize this chance to spar with practitioners from the many sects? Old Ma showed a look of assent. That is the reason. But what of selling crutches? Chinmu asked in confusion. Why did Grandpa Blind set up a betting stall? And that strange beast Grandpa Butcher is selling is plainly no flood dragon, so why is he shouting that he sells Flood Dragon's precious blood? Why did Grandpa Apothecary prepare his medicines ahead of time? Old Ma coughed a few times. This is the business of adults. You're a child. Don't ask so many questions. What are you waiting for? Chinmu could only step up onto the arena and paste the words Blind had written onto the arena's pillars. Not long after, more and more villagers gathered beneath the arena. Voices roiled like a boiling cauldron, making Chinmu feel that Blind's words were as well. Yet, he was still stunned by the number of villagers those words had drawn. The unrivaled one that splits the river, sweeping away all 800 villages in the great ruins. What audacity! You look but 11 or 12 years of age. If you had begun cultivating in your mother's womb, your cultivation would still be no more than so-so. A righteous voice rang out. Are you trying to challenge the villages of our great ruins with these words? Who gave you the guts? Chinmu's face reddened with embarrassment, yet he reacted and shot Blind an angry look. That voice was far too familiar. Was it not Blind himself who had shouted? Blind's righteous voice carried a trace of bewitchment as he continued. Are there no true men in our great ruins? Will we let this child swagger atop the stage? How can any of you endure hearing an 11 to 12-year-old brat speak so arrogantly? Where is the unyielding spirit of the men of the great ruins? Once those words fell, a great commotion erupted, and more than a dozen young men leapt at once onto the arena, turning Chinmu's face green. Yet our good men of the great ruins should not look down upon him. Blind's voice boomed like a great bell striking against everyone's eardrums. Since he has set up an arena, we must follow the rules. He has come to challenge, not to be mobbed. We must take our turns. Since this youth is of the spirit embryo realm, those who accept the challenge must also be of the spirit embryo realm, so as not to bring shame upon the villages. When his voice ceased, the dozen and more young men walked down from the arena, leaving only a single young man standing atop it. Chinmu let out a breath and said, "May I ask how to address senior brother?" "If you want to fight, then fight. Who's getting chummy with you?" The young man suddenly dropped to all fours, and the vital chi within his body burst forth. Tiger stripes surfaced across his back, making him like a fierce tiger made flesh. Sharp claws forged of vital chi appeared on his hands and feet. With one sudden leap, he pounced toward Chinmu as swiftly as a passing shadow. With that pounce, Chinmu abruptly felt as though he were being marked by a savage, strange beast. The fierce wind struck his face. It was as if a tiger roared. Such imposing aura was precisely what he lacked, and it could only be understood amid life and death experience. The martial arts practitioners in other villages each had their own unique strengths. Dragon markings appeared across Chinmu's back and coiled about his limbs. His steps moved like a flowing river surging into the sea, waves rumbling like thunder. He drew upon the water attribute of the black tortoise vital chi and executed the first form of Thunderclap 8 strikes. Though he still could not summon thunder within his palms, he yet unleashed the majesty of a river plunging into the sea, unrestrained. As the two collided, Chinmu used this punch to meet his opponent head-on. The might of the water attribute within the black tortoise vital chi burst forth and actually took the shape of a dragon's head upon his fist, surging forward with violent force. The young man was instantly astonished. His opponent's strength was terrifyingly great. His vital chi was shattered, and he was blasted back by Chinmu's strike. In the very instant he flew backward, both his feet kicked toward Chinmu's chest. His feet were keen as tiger claws, tearing Chinmu's shirt and nearly slicing open his belly. In haste, Chinmu planted one foot upon the ground as he fell backward, while his other leg snapped out swift as lightning. The other tumbled through the air from that kick and landed several yards away from the arena. That person flipped himself up, wanting to stand properly, but a crisp cracking sound suddenly rang out from his leg. His leg had been broken by Chinmu's kick. Apothecary's voice drifted over. Top quality medicine that can mend broken bones in a day, so as not to delay your hunting. Old Ma also shouted, "A pair of crutches made from dragon's eye wood, extremely sturdy." Blind continued in a clear voice, "If your luck is bad, you can come to me to change your fate. A pair of fortune-rhyming couplets to bring fortune to your household," Deaf called out loudly. Chinmu's face turned black as he steadied himself. It had been a perilous situation just now, yet all they could think of was whether their goods could be sold. Yet Grandpa Ma and the rest were right. I lack life and death experience. That fellow just now did not have cultivation higher than mine. Yet in the instant he was blasted back, he nearly sliced open my belly, nearly turning defeat into victory. Chinmu drew a deep breath, his eyes glittering. I have far too little experience in this. The temple fair is a rare chance for me to fight practitioners from the villages around here. This is my chance to absorb their battle experiences. I must defend this arena all the way to the end. More and more people pressed in beneath the arena, raising quite a commotion. In the fight with the young man earlier, everyone could see Chinmu's cultivation was dense. Yet his experience was lacking. To survive in the Great Ruins, every village essentially had martial arts practitioners, and even divine arts practitioners. This was because the Great Ruins was simply too dangerous. All the villagers revered martial skill, needing bravery and the ability to fight. Very soon, another leapt into the arena. It was a girl with a peculiar kind of black tortoise vital chi, yet her attacks were ruthless. The moment they clashed, her vital chi became like a gigantic serpent that coiled around both of Chinmu's legs, binding him tightly. After binding his legs, the girl was like a female snake slithering up his body as she went for the killing blow. Her vital chi was exceedingly strange. She transformed it into a great serpent to coil around Chinmu. This sort of vital chi differed from pure black tortoise vital chi, yet it was classified within it. Tortoises and snakes were both classified as black tortoise. However, her spirit embryo ought to be a snake rather than a tortoise, belonging to a branch of the black tortoise. Thus, the movement of her body was also bizarre. Chinmu used thousand-armed Buddha to defend against her uncanny attack. Though her body movement was strange, Chinmu seemed to have sprouted 1,000 arms, hands appearing all about him. In a brief span, she received hundreds of punches and fainted. Old Ma successfully sold a stretcher. This was the first time Chinmu had encountered such a strange body technique, and he had suffered minor injuries. Fortunately, they were not serious. Upon the arena, the battles continued, and many people also went forward to Blind's fortune-telling table to wager on who would win. There was no fixed currency in the Great Ruins, so trading was all done in goods. If one thought the value was roughly equal, the trade was made. Betting was the same. Any jewelry, ores, jades, livestock, everything could be used as stakes. A mound of goods had already piled up behind Blind. There were all manner of items, including a multicolored feathered old hen as tall as a man. Its beak was filled with razor-sharp teeth, and it looked ferocious as it flapped its wings, scattering sand like a rain of arrows. This was a hen dragon, not an ordinary old hen. It was the offspring of a dragon and a hen. Though the dragon blood in its body was not much, the eggs it laid were treasures. Next match, this poor monk will wager on my disciple's victory. Suddenly, a Buddhist title sounded out as an old monk squeezed to the front of the fortune-telling stall and set his monk staff upon the table, forcing the table's legs deep into the earth. The old monk sat before Blind and pressed his palms together. "This is the stake. Who dares to come wager with this poor monk?" Blind asked sternly. "Great Thunderclap Monastery?" The old monk replied, "Great Thunderclap Monastery." Blind turned his head to look at Old Ma and said, "Old Ma, you handle this." Old Ma set down the crutch in his hand and sat opposite the old monk. The old monk lifted his head and looked at Old Ma without expression. "Junior brother." Old Ma replied with an equally blank face. "Senior brother." "You imparted the divine arts of our Great Thunderclap Monastery to others, breaking the rules of our Great Thunderclap Monastery." The old monk's white brows drooped as he spoke softly. "Back then you severed your own arm and sent it to the monastery, saying you had returned the divine arts of our Great Thunderclap Monastery to us. Your arm still lies within the 1,000 Buddha Pagoda. Now you have imparted our Great Thunderclap Monastery's divine arts to that youth, going back on your words."